to Journey Through the Universe. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. This is our first live chat since the new year has begun. And it's been a little weird. 2026. I'm not saying anything. I'm flowing with it. So that's what I have to say, at least at this moment. How are you, Alexis, for the third time?
I definitely am getting weird energy. Um, but I have to say, aside from today, because today I felt like it was a little bit heavy, but aside from today, I feel like the beginning of the year was pretty good. I felt a spark of like a deeper and like tighter connection to my inner self and my spirituality upon like the new year, and really paying attention to little things. I just kind of feel back on track, where like towards the end of the year, like the last couple months of 2025, I really felt really disconnected from myself.
Yeah,
So aside from the weird energy and not really sleeping so
yeah,
far, I feel like the it's been, yeah, I'm optimistic.
yeah. I'm optimistic too. I think so. The first of the year was literally or almost a week ago, or yeah, about today's January 7th, right? So
Mhm.
6 days ago. Yeah, almost a week ago. So I felt pretty good. I've been having like very high highs, very low lows.
Yeah.
I'm excited about 2026. And I had a conversation recently with a friend, and we were talking about how, yes, it's the calendar year 2026, but like that can mean a lot. That might not mean very much, right? Like, what's the actual, like, we're just basically at a threshold. So if you find yourself like repeating old patterns, or maybe things haven't changed, or you're having some like shitty things happen at the beginning of the year, like, it's okay. Because again, this is a threshold. It's not like you have the power basically to allow or not allow what has already happened to set the tone for the year. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And that's why I'm saying I'm flowing with the energy with this year, because again, I like, for me personally, like just my vision and my spiritual practice and, all my passion projects and stuff like that is, I'm really excited. That's opening up. So many things are opening up. It's just more of the heavy things and the things that are just like, I'm going to say trash, that I'm like working on throwing out, making some changes. That's the stuff that's been like very problematic. And I've seen that happening also collectively. Like, we can all see that in our reality. And like that can be also a bit unsettling when we consider, what is, like, we're in a new year and like this stuff seems like it's getting worse, right? And so again, we have the power to really allow or not allow certain things to continue for this year, even though it's
I
already, this year.
I agree 100%. I was just listening to a podcast today, and they were talking about how they don't like, you know, terms like new year, new me, and like, toxic goal setting, especially around like aspects around weight and things that are, shame based. Because the reality is you can go into a new year with new intentions, but like you said, it can be a flow. You don't have to be so, I don't know, pragmatic with changes. You can allow one or two to come through, put some intention in the air for the year, and slowly work towards it, and allow yourself failures, and then pick yourself back up and move forward. And I feel like the idea of getting into the new year and having to like get rid of everything and be like a completely new person just because we went from December 31st to January 1st, it's a lot. So
Yeah.
like going into the year with kindness and like intention, like have what you want to change in the forefront, but don't make it a toxic experience for yourself because you're not meeting these things.
Yeah.
I'm already like I decided that I wanted to really work on my rituals. So my nighttime rituals, my morning time rituals. And for the most part, I've been doing really good. But like today, I slept in later than I wanted to. And I didn't get to wake up and have my time and write the way I wanted to. But I didn't put myself down or like harp on myself for it. It was just like, all right, we'll try again tomorrow. And I feel like giving ourselves more grace with 2026 is going to be healing.
Yeah, the grace period is everything. That's something I love a grace period. And for me, the new year has always been kind of like, the calendar new year has been kind of like a let's get things kind of started, like slowly moving forward. And then since my birthday is January 20th, that's my new year. And so it's like start to get in the swing of things. And then around my birthdays when I do my annual tarot reading for myself and just do a whole bunch of things and try to like basically do like a clearing and so forth. And so for me, it's like 20 days of getting, myself together, which is great. I love it. Mary's here. Mary says, good evening, ladies. And she says, it's coming along and it's okay. I'm celebrating my wins. Yeah, exactly.
Yay!
So
See, that's exactly it. You celebrate your wins. I mean, I didn't even do a huge tarot spread for the beginning of the year. I pulled one card for the year. I said, I just want one message, something that I can really like keep in the back of my mind, hold on to, and not feel pressured by just how big a full reading can be.
Yeah.
And I know the card I pulled in my deck, it's caution, and it's actually a reverse. And it essentially is telling me to, focus on what I want to get done, but allow myself breaks, because if I am spending too much time in activity and not enough in rest, then if there's no balance, then I'm going to find myself essentially like in a bad situation, and I've done that to myself so many times before. Even like when I say the last couple months of the year, that was something that I experienced. I wasn't resting. I was just one thing after the next, and there was no balance. And it really affected me mentally and emotionally. And so pulling that for like a theme of the year, like get done what you have to get done, but care about yourself and rest and take that time, was really important. And I've been thinking about it since, because it's true. I do need to balance that activity with rest and, downtime, as we all do.
Yeah. And I think that, wow, that's amazing for all your Libra energy, just to pick one card. And it's like, this is what I'm going with. Like, that's amazing for you, because that's so very clear, decisive, straight to the point. So that's awesome.
Well, it's so funny you say that real quick, because I essentially was like, I'm just going to have one card. And that flipped out of the deck. And I said, well, I'll flip for a little bit more and see if it has any more messages for me. And I was shuffling for like a little while and nothing came out. I was like, all right, I'm taking it. Like, nothing's coming out. This is my one card. And just kind of like, so I didn't even have the immediate decisiveness of it. Like, even though I wanted that, I still was like, well, maybe.
There was one year I did so every year I do the Celtic cross for myself. And generally, because like my daily tarot readings are generally 5 cards or 3 cards, I can't do just one. I need at least 3, because I need to know. Yeah, I need to know.
Same.
Yeah. So there was one year that I was started my reading and I just shuffle until something falls out. I think I was doing it then. Maybe I like pulled off the deck, but either way, the very first card, the central card, was the 3 of Swords. And for a lot of you, like most of you probably know what the 3 of Swords in tarot, but if you don't, it's the card with the heart, with 3 swords, like going through the heart, basically through the middle of the heart. Really, really intense. I have like a history with that card, unfortunately. And I was like, oh no, we're not doing it. So then I shuffle and I do a whole new reading. And I put them all, or no, I revealed them except the very last one. So I like to leave myself in suspense. The conclusion card I'll look at last, but everything else is face up. So lo and behold, when I redid the spread, the conclusion card was the 3 of Swords. And I was just like,
oh,
it was pretty on point. So I was like, damn, they're not letting me get out. But yeah, no, it was wild. I was just like, I wanted to cry. Because I had a fear with that card. Like I didn't have the best relationship at that time. And that was a lot of it really spoke to the year and the reading. But this year I had a really special reading with Mary. Shout out to Mary. She did a reading for me. And she pulled several cards for me for like each month. So the way I'm using that, Mary, I don't know if even know if I told you this, but the way I'm using her reading, it's kind of almost like a planner. So I know like the energy, what to expect. A lot of it for me was focused on my mental health, my physical body, and there was some aspects too of course, how it's gonna influence my work and stuff like that, and just like where I'm at with my life. But I'm kind of using that as like a planner. And then I'm still going to do my personal annual one that I do, the Celtic Cross. So we'll see. But I do that on my birthday. So this one I already got from Mary. So thanks, Mary. It was amazing. It was on point. The first 2 months are going to be the hardest, which I can already see that. But then the rest of it, the rest of the year, it looks really, really good. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Which
Like,
feels optimistic because you're getting
yeah,
like the worst of it out of the way right off the rip.
right.
Go
Yeah,
through
like
it, rip the band-aid off, and then kind of like out in the clear.
yeah. Mary says she could do one for you too if you wanted one.
Thank you so much, Mary.
So, yeah, okay, so we kind of got the energy going, and we just came out of that crazy Cancer super full moon, which I'm like, holy crap, that
My
was the moon.
goodness.
I also got my period with that moon, so that was a whole thing. Um, but we want to talk about, we're going to do something new. Do you want to share with what something else we're going to do to add to our chats here?
Yeah, so I don't know how you feel about the name. I mean, we can change it, we can play with it, but essentially it's talking about one magical moment within the week that we experienced that really impacted us in one way or the next. So I'll just go ahead and, talk about mine and we'll go from there. I had a couple. The first one that really just hit me was I carved a sigil into a black candle, and I can't remember if it was the first day of January. I think it was the first day of January or the full moon. It was either one of those. And the sigil was calling in magic. Now, as this candle burned, it was sculpting by itself a variety of different like pieces of art in itself. I mean, at first it looked like, angel wings, and then it turned into a horse head, and then it started like, now what I'm looking at right now is it literally looks like it's mimicking the image of the woman on the plate behind it. And to me, that was just such a powerful, magical moment of my candle talking with me and like expressing itself through its sculptural art. And I haven't I haven't lit it back up again. Like, I've been looking at it and just kind of like, I see different things. Every time I look at the video of it burning and every time I look at it, I see different things, but it's so beautiful and so magical. And, I just love that this was essentially calling in the magic and showing, like, having a conversation. It was just so beautiful.
Wow.
And the other really, I'm not going to talk about my dreams. I'll talk about my dream. They were magical, but I'm going to talk about them when we do the new moon.
Yeah.
But in the waking space, one of the other magical moments that occurred for me was, I think it was the 2nd of January. Now where I work, there's a river, right? My building's right on a river, and we have a lot of different birds come through. And we've had this one blue heron come around a lot. But over the last like maybe 2 months or so, he hasn't been around. So I came to work on January 2nd. I was walking across the bridge and he was perched up on the island by himself. And he was just so beautiful. They're such beautiful birds. I mean, so
Really,
tall and just like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe them. They're just like other being. Like, I don't know. They're just so beautiful. And that was, I kind of like stood over, like leaning over the railing and watched it kind of just sit for a while. And then I let it do its thing and moved on. But it was just such a beautiful moment to have him return after so long. And I haven't seen him since. He stopped that one day and then boom, gone.
Wow. They're so graceful. So poised. I love them. Yeah, I remember seeing that picture of the candle. Did or maybe I saw the video too. It was when it was on your story. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, wow, I love when that happens. That was so cool. Like it just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I want have you interpreted like what that might mean for your year or anything like that? Or
Not yet. I'm still kind of sitting with it, because, you know, when I saw the angel wings, my first thought was, so there's a show that I really like called Good Omens, and it is about angels and demons and stuff. And so my first thought was like my excitement coming through for the show because the third and final season comes out in the beginning of this year. They haven't released any
oh,
date, but like it's coming out. And then the horse head, of course, like this is the year of the fire horse. So of course the
mhm.
candle flame built this horse head to really emphasize like the symbolism of what that means and how it's going to move us through 2026. And so I was of course just like all up in inspiration and excitement. I don't even know what to interpret it looking like the image that's behind it. Like
Mm,
I don't even know how to.
that's
It,
so
it's so like auspicious. It's so weird. It's so I don't know.
that's so cool. I would say for my magic moment, what was really interesting, it was the day before the full moon. So the full moon peaked at like 5 in the morning here on the East Coast in New York on Saturday morning. So it was Friday night. And I had that reading with Mary. I think Mary, the reading was I don't know if it was the day before or that day. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I know it's very close. It may have actually been that day because that was a part of the reading was getting back into my meditation because when I had the reading and like what was coming up, Mary is like, "What's your spiritual practice?" Like, and it was definitely was like, "You need to meditate and set boundaries and all this." And then I thought about, I was like, "Oh shit, I don't really have I don't have a practice right now. Usually I have something that I'm doing, but ever since like." Right before Thanksgiving, it's just been so busy that I just didn't like I had barely even been writing my dreams. And so I decided I was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to meditate. The moon had just like it was pretty much like it just rose, right? It just came from the eastern horizon. So it was the night. So then yeah, I came in here to do a meditation and I was like looking out my window here to see the moon, but it was already above the house because my office essentially faces east. And then I looked and I'm like, I see these two bright stars, and I'm like, oh, I was like, is that serious? And so I pulled out my phone for my like, like the star map app, and it was serious, right? So, anyways, I had a meditation, a very long extended meditation. It was so nice. And this is the third time what I call my galactic guide. So it's an extraterrestrial like spirit guide that comes through. And the second time they came through, my friend Jackie was doing a shaman. She was facilitating a shamanic journey for me, and she had mentioned that they were from Syrian or Sirius. And so, anyways, this meditation confirmed that they were, and I like let go a lot of fear, and also like it was interesting because they had like changed their form, like because I always know when it comes in the room because it like the floor creaks, and like my cat was on the bed with me, so it wasn't her, but it's like I hear the floor creak or something in the house kind of shifts, and then my body is alert, and I'm just kind of like my body's like freezing, and I kind of freak out internally like, oh my god, something's in here because my eyes are closed and I'm laying down. And so, and it always sits in this chair or in a chair because I was in the living room one time. But anyway, I could see this time in my mind's eye, I could see it looking like an extraterrestrial, and it kind of like freaked me out. So it like communicated with me, and it was like, oh, do you want me to, I can change form? And it changed to like a humanoid figure, and then it changed to like a orb, basically a light. And it was so playful. I love the light orb, and it was like moving around. It was so fun. And the energy from this being is so fun. It really likes our language. It really likes words. And it was a really good time. And I got like about 4 or 5 pages of information of like what to do, like with my meditations, with my sacred geometry. Like so much came through. It was such a high moment. And then after that, there was a lot going on. So there was like a really dramatic shift in my life, but that was like my magic moment. So and I feel that I have released a lot of the fear that I had with connecting with that energy, because it would always like catch me off guard. And now I'm like, it's fun. And I see it's like a best friend, basically like a brother or a best friend. It's definitely masculine energy, which is new for me. So but yeah, so that was my magic moment.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I mean, just the fact that it changed its form to make you feel comfortable alone is just so powerful because, what are the chances that you encounter something like that and it's, that concerned about your emotions towards it and how you're perceiving it? So the fact that it changed its form a variety of different ways until it found something that you felt very comfortable and playful with is just so beautiful. And then to just have all this information pour out of you into the pages with the help of this being, what an incredibly powerful moment.
It was fun. I'm really excited. And I'm like,
Did you have
like
any?
hmm?
Sorry, I was just gonna ask if you had any dreams about it that night because
I have been. So the dog dreams. So the dogs have been back, and this time the dogs, like I've recently had a dream. I think it was 2 nights ago, where there was like a huge dog. So now the dogs are looking more like Anubis. And this one,
oh,
it was like a pearl type, like white dog, but it had like this goldish hue to it, and it was kind of transparent or translucent, but it was kind of like celestial. But it was like really, really, really big in the dream, because I was like walking outside of a university. And then I had a dog in my, like, so the dogs have been showing up in my dream, which Sirius is like a part of the dog star. And like dogs are like a thing with them. So yeah, no, it's definitely been in my dreams and stuff. And I've been wanting, it's funny, I've been meditating to get him to come back, but I had this feeling where it's like, no, you need to do what I shared with you, and then we'll come back and do more. But it's like, just like, I just want the energy felt so
yeah.
good. It was really revitalizing, which I could use right now. But anyway, so that was my magic moment for this week.
Wow, I'm just blown away. That's incredible. That's so beautiful. I wonder if you did another meditation that was maybe like a shorter meditation and was focused solely on like that energy, if it would maybe not show itself in full, but like gave you kind of like a boost,
Mm-hmm.
even
Well,
if
yeah,
it's like
actually, that kind of did happen shortly after, because it was like it didn't show up. Like, it's like the energy is very, very strong when I know it's here. But it
Mhm,
was like I kind of heard it from like behind me. Like I felt,
right.
like it when they say everything is within you. So it was like pretty much it was within me coming
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
So, and I think from what I remember, I think it did say something about like, I don't know, like it's not going to come out here, but it's like it's
Right.
always with me, so I can connect in that way. But I'm like, no, I want it really cool. I'm weird
I'm
like
so excited to
that,
see how this like evolves. Because I just feel like it's gonna get cool. Like it's
so
gonna
no,
get cool.
especially with the sacred geometry, like the stuff that he was telling me. I'm like, ooh, but I have to be in like I have to be in like a really good vibe.
Right.
Otherwise, it's gonna be kind of destabilizing, because it's
Hmm.
like, so, which I'll share, I think, in the Dark Moon Journey Reflections. I don't think I've shared. Um, oh, maybe I did. Anyways, the dream experiences I've had after drawing the sacred shapes, I think I did. So, anyways, we have two announcements, and then we're gonna get into the topic. So I am teaching a dream class on January 25th. It's an online class via Ritual Craft. It's Lucid Dreaming 101. And yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have all the details on me. And my brain is mush right now because I didn't get a lot of sleep either. So check out the link. It's in the description of this video. And you get all the information, but it'll be like the basics of like how to induce a lucid dream, what to do when you're in the dream, how to, integrate that into your waking life and create like the lucid living experience with the lucid dreams and so forth. And so if you're curious about lucid dreaming, or if you are a lucid dreamer and you just want to come and hang out or hear my perspective and so forth, definitely join me. Again, that's going to be on January 25th online.
That's so exciting. Guys, don't forget to sign up. It's going to be a fantastic class. It always is. Urania is an amazing teacher. So I'll go right into the next announcement. So as you guys probably already know, Urania and I have been working with a developing app called Dreamigos. That's Dreamigos. It is a wonderful dream app where you can record your dreams in a variety of different ways, keep them private for yourself, or you can upload them to the Dreamline. This is a public space where you can upload your dreams so that, the public can see it, but you also have the opportunity to have dream experts like Urania and I comment with interpretation and guidance. One of my favorite aspects of this app is that if you sign up today, you'll have access to our monthly dream circle. It's totally free. And this is fantastic. Urania and I have both hosted the dream circles before, and it is just such a fun, community-based experience. We have so many people show up. The conversations are great. You learn a lot. And it's just a great time. So you can go and find this app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah. And we're going to actually be having two quote unquote dream circles. The first one is going to be more formal, where one of the experts is going to show up and speak on a specific topic. And then, we share and reflect on that as a group. And then the second one is going to be more casual, where we just show up and, talk about our dreams. Or you can ask any question that you want, but there's like no set topic. Basically, it's an open floor, open topic, type thing. So if you have a dream that you want us to, speak on, or you want to hear the other people participating or in the circle also speak on, definitely join us. It's going to be so much fun. That's my favorite part, is the live, engagement with everybody about dreams, because we could talk about this forever. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And so the link, the next dream circle is going to be January 20th, which is my birthday. And I'm probably going to be there because I don't really have
may or may not show up.
Right? But I will, once we have the official link, I'll put it in the description of this video. But you can join Dreamigos, and you will likely get I think they send out emails announcing the dream circle. But either way, the link to download the app is going to be in the description of this video as well. Cool. All right. So tonight's topic, Alice in Wonderland. Is this our third Dreams in Media? I think this is our third one.
I think so. We did Insidious.
Oh, so this.
I don't think we had the podcast yet when we did.
Oh, we didn't have the. Oh, right. Okay, so yeah, our third.
Stay tuned for an archive chat down the line. Actually, I still think we have to do another one on that because we didn't. Because they had the second season.
There's supposed to be a part 2.
Yeah.
So we did Insidious, we did Monkey Bone, and tonight we're going to be talking about Alice in Wonderland. I'm sure you're familiar with this movie. It's such a classic. Oh my gosh, I used to love. I watched it so many times when I was little. Like, I watched it over and over again, and I tried to share it with my daughter, and she just was like, not into it. But she was into the Tim Burton one. She was really into the White Rabbit for whatever reason. So
I wanted to ask you, now, just so you guys know, the original animated Alice in Wonderland came out in 1951, but the stories, I believe, came out in like the late 1800s, early 1900s?
Through the Looking Glass, right?
I think there's 2. I think it's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I think there's two of them.
So yeah, Lois Carroll, let's see when that, yeah, 1871.
Right. So it's based in that time period. But what I wanted to ask you, Urania, is rewatching the animated now as an adult, how did you feel about it?
I felt like it was even more relatable. Like when I watched it as a kid, it was just like a fun adventure. Like it wasn't really deep. It was just really fun. And I love the music and like the little, like I just love all the little like experiences or portals or however you want to call it. But as an adult, it was kind of like it was very relatable, and I just like on like the psyche level I could understand, like I could see how that has been reflected in my own life in many different ways. So that was really interesting, and I'm like, I see where they're going there. You get the deeper layers of everything.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree with that. I mean, I also loved Alice in Wonderland. Alice is someone I've always kind of connected with. There, she had this like very unique, rebellious aspect to her where she didn't really care about how people felt about her. She was very herself, and instead of doing what society was, kind of pushing for her to do, she was living in her own wonderland. And especially rewatching it as an adult, I do have to say, so in the original animated, she's probably about 12
Mm-hmm.
roughly. She
Yeah, she's
is incredibly like calm,
mhm.
even
Oh
falling
yeah.
down the hole. Like she's falling down the hole. She's like, oh wow, like like just like chill about everything. And going through things and like, she's able to stand up for herself when she feels like she's being, when she feels a type of way, she's able to kind of like express, oh, like you're not being kind, I'm gonna go and walk away, or like, but she's also herself very like kind and giving, so she's trying to relate and have conversations with all the characters despite them being kind of like shitty to her. And there's just, it's such an interesting dynamic watching it as an adult
Yeah,
because
like she's
she's
even,
very adult.
and she's very kind of like polite, even when she's, being quote unquote rude or sassy or whatever. Like she still kind of like has this grace and this like elegance about herself,
Yes.
which is really interesting.
So my next question for you is, now when we first started talking about it, you said you weren't sure if you ever saw the Tim Burton version. So the Tim Burton movie is the live action continuation of the Alice in Wonderland animated. And I didn't even realize it was a continuation really until I watched it again this time. And it's a movie I actually watch a lot. I saw it in theaters when it came out. It was super impactful for me at my age when it came out. It came out in 2010. I was in eighth grade. I mean, I related and loved it so much that like even for my eighth grade art project, we had to do like paper mache masks. I did the half of it Cheshire Cat and half of it the Mad Hatter because they were like characters I related to a lot. And it was just something that it was a movie that I really loved. I loved the way that Tim Burton opened up the world and there was more to it. So my question for you, Urania, is when you watched it this time around, was it the first time that you had seen it?
Yeah, it was the very first time.
And how did you feel about it?
Uh, it was
What are your
really
thoughts?
hard for me to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I would say the second half, like it started to pick up a little bit, but I think I kind of got lost in it. It was because I kept reaching for, like, I didn't realize it was going to be kind of like a continuation, like you said, and I kept reaching for the original, like the animated one. It's like I grew up watching that and I've seen it so many times, and so there's a very special connection and like nostalgic feel to that. And so I really, really wanted the Tim Burton movie just to be like, hey, just redo this in Tim Burton
Yeah.
style. But I didn't realize. So it was like really interesting. And I think that threw me off. I would be curious if I watched it a second time, like understanding, like that it's its own thing, so to speak, or continuation, then I think I would have a different like feeling about it. But initially I was like, because I loved Tim Burton, everything. And I was just like, man, what? This is not what I expected. And so, and it was just like I kept trying to like compare and, just like, wait, but what about this thing? So, but there were some really cool elements. Like I really enjoyed all the characters as they were the same. But it was just like the layout or the flow of the movie, like I guess you could say even the plot, where I was just like, oh, this is interesting.
Right. No, and I completely understand that. When it begins in the animated version, Alice is essentially she's being taught a history lesson and she's bored and she doesn't want to participate and she ends up A, going down the rabbit hole, or B, falling asleep. We don't actually know. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the aspects about the movies that I love is that you really don't know entirely. Even in, the live action, the characters are questioning whether they're a dream or not. And Alice is like, "Oh no, this is definitely a dream," but
Yeah.
she's doing all the
She
to
even
wake
tried,
herself up.
yeah, and she wouldn't. And I was like, ooh, yeah,
Right. So you really don't know if she's so I take the perspective of that it is yes a dream, but it's also an astral travel. And then
yes,
my thought is it a world, like a universe that only she's able to access? Like, is it within her own, like it's a universe within herself? So it's real. It's a dream, but it's also real. I don't know. There's so many ways that you can view
yeah,
it because it feels like an astral travel. That
yeah.
it
I think
feels like an astral travel.
my impression is that she comes there like she goes there all the time, especially with the second one. I really felt that where like this is her world and this is where she goes. And at some point in the movie, when she realizes that, like I think towards the end of the second one, well, I don't even know if I should say it. For those of you who haven't watched it, yeah. Anyway, it's like I feel like she realizes that, wait a minute, like this is my world. And it's almost like to me that represented or symbolized like when you become lucid in a dream and you're just like become aware of everything and then everything changes, like your actions, how you relate to the environment, how you perceive different figures and so forth. Like now it's like, okay, like, something clicks and you have this next level of awareness. So that's why I definitely feel like it was an astral travel um that then formed into a lucid dream, especially, when she comes out of it, and just how things in her waking life are, reflections of that
Yes.
Wonderland, which is like my favorite.
Yes. So in the first one, the animated, she's a child. And in her Wonderland, it's there's brighter colors, like it's still eerie. You still have like that the Red Queen is still like ruling the realm and is, causing havoc and but it's a little lighter, it's a little bouncier. And then you get into the continuation and it's like last like final level tyranny of the Red Queen. I mean, even like when you're looking at the Red Queen and her king in the animated, I actually didn't see this until this time around, and I've watched this so many times. But in the animated, the queen is tyrannical and intense, but her short little tiny king is like, wait, 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 let's give a trial. Wait, 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 let's do this. Let's give them a chance. Like he's still like doing whatever to like appease to her, but he's also trying to, he brings in the tea party people and like have them almost a distraction for Alice to kind of get away. Where in the Tim Burton version, uh spoiler alert, in the one scene it's darker. For one, the color has been lost in Wonderland. It's essentially like a darker kind of more, everything's kind of burned to the ground, everything's very, in the first one everything's bouncy and still light, but in the continuation, I mean, she's already captured so many of the people living in Wonderland, and even though they have to work for her, otherwise they get essentially murdered, they're still loyal to each other. But in the one scene, she's talking to the Red Knight, who is hate him,
Yeah.
but and he goes, "Oh, well, you even had to like, you know, kill the king." and you see his goofy little head floating in the like in the pond or whatever, and he's just like, and he looks just like the guy from the first one. But like
Yeah.
you can see how the queen became so tyrannical that even the person who she was married to, who was like kind of keeping her at bay a little bit,
Yeah.
like she took out.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is because when you look at Wonderland as a dream, Alice as a 12-year-old, you know, she has an idea of how things are. Of course, these characters are reflected in the Wonderland, you know, who she interacts with in real life. I mean, even like the aspect of going to the tea party and like these people are not letting her talk and she's going to say something, and it kind of feels like what it feels like to be a child with around a bunch of adults. Like you're not heard, you're not. But in the adult, like in that, when she's adult, she's 20 years old now, she's about to get married, she has these people in her lives who are kind of forcing the societal pressure onto her. It shows that reflected
Yeah.
in Wonderland itself. And like it's so interesting, the dynamic. And I love how just the childlike vibe of the original versus the continuation, where things really feel heavy and get real. And that's what's happening in her life. Things are getting heavier. She had just lost her dad. So that aspect was weighing on her. So you can see where the light dimmed there, and like the pressure to be with someone who she didn't love, and like where her brain was more towards doing something she was passionate about rather than settling down and having kids in a society where that's what you have to do. It
Yeah.
just, it was so interesting.
Yeah, I felt like I don't know, let me know how you feel about this, but I feel in the animated, the characters in some way were kind of reflections of her more so maybe in the animated, and then or her own psyche, like some aspects of her psyche. Um but I don't know if I felt that was the no, I definitely don't feel like that was the same in the Tim Burton version. Um I don't know, what are your thoughts of that?
Well, so when I was watching the animated version again, I felt like there was a lot of reflection of the type of people that would be around her during that time period. So like the what was he, a ostrich or a
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
walrus, like that kind of like business type who's manipulating people to essentially acting as though he's going to give them something, but in essentially he's taking away and not really caring about them. Like that felt very timely to someone she might have, you know, an uncle or a grandfather, or you know, a male figure in her life. And you know, again with the queen really reflects who I don't remember who her teacher was in the animated, but you know, the way that the queen talked to her, Alice. So like when she gets caught with the other cards and they're painting the roses, you know, she's trying to explain her story, and the queen's like, well, curtsy when you do that, it saves time, and do this and do that. It's very reflective of the way the teacher was approaching her with trying to get her to follow in line. So I definitely could see how it could reflect herself, obviously. But also I could see how just around the people in her life in the waking, it was a reflection there.
Mm-hmm. And like I feel in the live action, that was the case too, but I feel like it wasn't as obvious for me, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and again, I've watched this movie like hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I mean, I'm still picking up things. Like one of the things that I also just noticed in this time around is in the live action, a lot of the animals are acting as furniture, which I knew. But what I didn't know was I saw that the chandelier that was in the hallway was being held up by vultures flying in place,
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
which is like I just never picked up on it, but it just goes to show how intense. And the queen in this to me was really representative of the mother-in-law to
Oh
be,
yeah. Yeah.
like the way
Yeah.
that that was. And even like then going back to, you know, archetypes too. So like the Mad Hatter to me felt like Animus, where like the White Queen felt like the Enema for her through her journey. And then the Jabberwocky was like the shadow, like she was facing her personal demons, like really going deep into that. And
Which made sense too, because they kept kind of like hyping up, like, oh, is she the Alice? Is she, the one to, overtake the Jabberwocky, which makes sense too, where it's like, and I really picked up on that too, that symbolism, as it was like she had that sword, and that sword represents, clarity, truth, and it was like the Jabberwocky had like an experience with, like, had history with that specific sword, and it was just like, like it was a whole thing. So I really enjoyed that symbolism too, and that was kind of like the big bad in the movie, like the final boss, which makes sense too, because when we come across our shadow, especially like in a dream, it can really take on the form of something really scary, and that you
mm-hmm.
have to overcome. And it could be a very stressful and anxious scene, or experience. And so I think they did a really, really good job with that in the live
they
action. Yeah.
I agree 100%. And, you know, going back to that, there was some reflection of, you know, in the waking space, she's being proposed to in front of everyone. In the dream space, she's being asked to face her shadow in front of everyone, or, you know, defeat the Jabberwocky in front of everyone. And in both scenarios, she runs away. And when she runs away, she faces the caterpillar who is building his cocoon. And you know, she's very upset that he's, you know, leaving, and he's said that he's essentially saying, like, you know, I'll see you in another life, like I'm preparing for my death. And then he gives her this last bit of information that kind of like opens her up to her own self, essentially killing off the previous version of herself and allowing her to grow into the butterfly, like grow into her full self and be able to face that shadow. I don't remember exactly what she said or he said, per
That
se.
was, that was the moment I felt like that was the moment of lucidity, like in the
Yep.
dream, like where she had an awareness that, yeah, I can't remember what he said too. But yeah, she realized that this is her world. Like, this is, everything is in relation to her. Um, and it's like her creations, and they're aspects of her in their own way, even though they're like also connected to external, people or expressions in her life. They're still all connected to her, and this is her reality.
Absolutely. And she even talks that into existence. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when she's about to fight the Jabberwocky, she's talking
Oh
everything
yeah.
into existence for herself. And she's taking back that power that she feels like she probably lost through one being in a society where it's really not meant for, if I'm going to be honest, it's really not meant for women to express themselves freely. But also like the loss of her father, which was a huge like person in her development. Like she had this supportive figure through her entire life, and now she's essentially not alone because she still has her mother, but it was her father who was pushing her to be herself. And when she's taking back her power and fighting this shadow at this Jabberwocky, and she's really speaking into existence these impossible things that are actually very possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I love that. It reminds me of, like, I haven't had that experience as far as like counseling myself in the dream, where you're working on affirmations, and just like you said, creating the reality. But I mean, actually, yeah, that's a lucid dream trait, where you're like, oh, I want this to happen, or this is going to go this way, or I want to change the scene or whatever. So that is a representation of a possible lucid experience. But it made me think of when I'm setting intentions before my dream space of how I would like my dream space to be. So she was doing that in the dream, but it reminded me of, when I would do that outside of the dream, so to speak, that I've done pretty recently. So that was really interesting.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And even like when she does defeat the Jabberwocky, you know, the key back to reality is through the essentially the blood of the Jabberwocky. but she
Mm.
doesn't have to go back. Like, even though that's the key, it's not necessary. It doesn't necessarily have to take her back home to reality, but she chooses that because she has unfinished business. She has to go back and deal with what she ran away from. And to have the power to face really intensely scary things in your life, it can be hard. I mean, I deal with it on a daily basis for little things that I'm fearful of and big things. And so to choose to go back and actually, you escaped to this wonderland, so you didn't have to deal with what you were doing. But now you're going to go back because now you're ready and you're going to face this big thing. And she does. I mean, she is very upfront and honest with everyone about what she wants and how she feels. And she's not holding herself back to other people's standards. She has to live for herself. She has to make the choice. And that was really powerful. I love that aspect. And you don't know if she fell into a hole and hit her head and like went unconscious, or if she like actually traveled to this other dimension, or if she was dreaming, or what she was doing. I love that there's not an answer for that, because when it comes to dream work, there's not really an answer for where we go.
Right, yeah, that's very true. And I think I love just the evolution. Now, as we're having this conversation, I am appreciating more the Tim Burton version, and just like thinking of the evolution, how she's like a really young child. And I feel that Wonderland, in that sense, I don't really think there was like a full lucidity experience in that. I think it was like, to me, it felt like a dream, like more so like in the dream, in the astral travel, where again, it's like that's where she goes. Because there are a lot of moments too where she wasn't like very conscious and aware of like, why am I here? What's going on? Um, and so I do like that evolution, in her realizing that she has a choice of what she does next, or what she can do in the dream, or how the dream unfolds, or how essentially the reality unfolds. Because as we always say, it's like the dreams are like, or at least I believe that the dreams are another form of reality. That's why I'm like, there's a dreaming life, there's the waking life, and all of that in between. And so she realizes that she can be, awake in both. But when she also awakes in that quote unquote dream or travel, whatever it was, that's reflected in her waking life. And she's even more lucid and more aware, of her actions and just the path that she's on. So they did a really, really good job with that, for sure.
I love it. I love it so much because it feels like, when you're dreaming, when you're lucid dreaming, especially, or astral traveling, like you said, you're in another world. I always say, I'm like, I never go to sleep. I always wake up in one realm, or I wake up in the next. And it's like this continuation. Now, of course, I've been eating a lot of rest lately, so I haven't been enjoying that type of experience of continuous dreaming, but there's a reason for everything, whether I understand it or not. But it's like when I dream, I'm just stepping into another world. I'm stepping into another reality. I'm waking up somewhere else. And we've talked about this before. It's like, well, when we wake up in our waking reality, how do we know we're waking up in the reality we went to sleep in? How do we know we're not shifting depending on our choices within the dream space? I just
And that's something I've really been leaning into, with the big changes that I am making, where it's like I really think about that. I've been very intentional, before going to bed, and not like necessarily journaling or anything, but when I'm laying in bed, I am thinking about that. And like the several times I wake up in the middle of the night, I think about how I want to wake up in the morning, which has been very helpful, especially because I haven't even been very specific. I just like lately, I'm like, I just want to get a restful sleep.
yeah.
To wake up rested and peaceful, and because I've been having a lot of surprise anxious dreams, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about next week. But yeah, so I think that it is true in some ways, especially when you have those moments where your dreams just start to really click with you, resonate, and you're really paying attention to your waking life and your dream, even if you don't remember everything about your dream and you just remember the emotion, that dream, you'll wake up with that impression of the dream. And just in that sense, you are changing your reality because you're going to be naturally reflecting on that dream, on that emotion and that experience. And you wake up in a reality that is, impacted by that. So for me, lately, I've been waking up in, kind of an anxious way. And that's because also been very anxious in my waking space. And so I'm being very intentional about how I go about making those changes and, tending to my nervous system basically.
Which is wildly important because you don't realize how how much you need to tend to your nervous system until you're out of loop completely and you're like,
Yeah.
like
I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And you're, when you get, I know for me, and I'll share more about this maybe next week, but yeah, it's like, our bodies tend to want to work through that stress and the anxiety that you've been experiencing. And sometimes that's why we can have restful sleep. Sometimes, what I've learned basically is that when you're able to complete the dream cycle or the sleep cycle, then you have that resolve, like it's worked out and you can potentially wake up rested. But if it's getting somehow, disturbed, that's when you're waking up in the middle of the night and then you fall back asleep and all of that, or you don't go back to sleep. And so you're not really completing that full sleep cycle to receive like the whole healing and integration of that the dream is like trying to work through. So that's something, maybe we should do an episode on that.
We should.
Like that would be really helpful.
100%.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel, but I feel like that went really well and I feel like completed with this,
Yeah, I feel really complete. Yeah, I'm really actually gonna watch that movie again now because the whole movie I just spent like, being
You
a
had
little,
expectations.
yeah, I had
You had
expectations. I didn't
expectations for what
realize,
you wanted it to be. And that
right.
completely changes the watching experience. Like
Yeah,
I completely get that. But I'm interested to see how you feel about it when you watch it again
yeah,
and you put those expectations that you originally had to the side, knowing that it's not what you thought it was going to be
yeah,
and seeing it from like a fresh perspective.
yeah. I'm sure I will pick up on like way more dream stuff, way more, yeah, just way more. And then
I
I'll have,
mean, like I said, I've watched it several times. Actually, not this last time, but the time before that, I watched both the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland and the Looking Through the Glass on shrooms. And it was like
oh my
the
God,
best experience. I
really?
cried so much. I mean, I cry every time I watch the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland. Both of them really. But like when I was on shrooms watching it, I was like, because it's such a I wouldn't do shrooms and watch the original Alice animated, and the reason being is that it's a different vibe completely. Like it's a little bit more of like a chaos kind of
Yeah,
like,
oh, with the colors and everything.
yeah, where like
Yeah,
the Tim Burton, it's like an open world and it's a little softer, and like so when I watched it on shrooms, it felt like I was in the movie and it was just so encapsulating and I cried like the whole time. But yeah,
wow. Yeah,
even
and then
now
you have
watching
a
it again.
personal connection. I don't know. I feel like Johnny Depp would freak me out if I was like on mushrooms because his
No, it
eyes. Oh my
didn't.
God.
I get why you would, but it didn't. Like it was so interesting and it was so like those types of open world movies where it's very fantasy, very just like you can just dive in.
Yeah,
That
it was
it
scenes.
it feels like you're in a dream.
It kind of had Lord of the Rings vibes at the
Yes.
and like the scenery. Like I was really like, oh wow, that's really cool. It's beautiful. So yeah, I could see how that can really come to life in a beautiful way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So
I hope I
you did watch the second one?
no, not through
Oh,
looking. Just at like at the end of I'm thinking about the end of the Alice in Wonderland.
right, right,
Like
right, right.
but yeah. So they had the nice like cascading waterfalls. But I did see that and I was curious. I was like, oh, there's a second one. They
It's
did three.
really good
So
too.
I'm gonna watch this one again and then I'm gonna watch that.
It dives deeper into the background like of the characters, so like the Red Queen and the White Queen and what happened to like split them up because they're sisters.
Yeah.
And it also really plays with time, which I love.
Ooh. Yeah. Yes, I know what I'm going to be doing this winter. Soon. Movie nights. But yeah, no, I feel really good with this. I hope that you all feel inspired to rewatch if you haven't had a chance to rewatch or watch it at all. We would, of course, love to hear your thoughts on the dreams and maybe what you picked up in these two movies. And yeah, I feel like they hit dreams, they hit astral travel, they hit lucid dreams.
The
And
shadow,
the
different
living, yeah,
architects, text. Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys have a movie or show that has to do with dreaming and dream work, astral travel, and you want us to do an analysis on it like this, feel free to message us or email us with your suggestion.
yes, let us know. Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, we'll be back next week live for our monthly Dark Moon Dream Reflection chat, where we reflect on our dream space over the past lunar cycle. So that's always really fun. And we would love to hear your dreams and your experience.
I'm so
So,
excited to share my
yeah.
dreams for this one.
I missed when we were in the meeting yesterday. I didn't hear it. I don't know what I was doing, like, doing stuff. So I didn't hear it. I saw like a little bit of the drawing. So it's still gonna be like fresh for me.
Yeah,
So
I'm so excited. I can't wait to share.
awesome. Alrighty. Well, we'll see you all next week.
Sweet
Sweet
dreams.
dreams.